Howdy howdy folks, got a game in the Constellation on the map Hotspot, Domination. I am running B.A. Hoshino with, what is it? Arthas and AL Colorado. So this is like a pay-to-win special. But I mean, this ship is flexible enough. You could run it with pretty much any commander. I probably wouldn't put Lee on there, but, you know, standard Sims, Cunningham, Ravel would do totally fine on this ship. The guns are extremely accurate. Yeah, it's a good ship. I enjoy it. It's got like a nice set of tools. Recently got a reload buff. I was a little surprised. You know, I guess people, it must not be performing overall, but I quite like it. I had a bit of a rough spot when I first got it, you know, first 5 or so games, just trying to get a handle on exactly how squishy this thing is, because boy is it squishy. You know, it's a battle cruiser, and it definitely puts the cruiser in the battle cruiser. It can bounce 16-inch shells on its side plating, but it has the, you know, overmatchable nose, and then the side armor really is very thin. You know, I actually was talking to someone on Reddit the other day about this. They're like, oh, shouldn't you always avoid going broadside? And it's like, well, yeah, sure, more or less. But when people say, oh, never go broadside, that means like, hey, if a bagration is 10 kilometers away from you, you might need to worry about the AP on a battleship like this because it is just so squishy. But you can see the guns, man. I love the guns on this. Yeah, like, oh, I love when the guns just hit. You know, there's a few ships in the game that just really have that accuracy. The Elbing, I've made videos about the defense before, that's one, and then this is another one that it's like, the guns just hit. I love it. They are a little slow. Oh, actually, this is one of the reasons I made this video. This Akatsuki, I'm like, brother, we saw the bagration going over here. We know he's here. Like, just back up. It's radar cruiser. I'm trying to tell him that. Just back up. You don't need to be there. You don't need to go around that corner. And then he smokes up. And I'm like, dude, this is literally the worst thing you could do. The bagration's going to see you anyway. And then all you're doing is blocking my vision. So now I have to go out further than I thought, or further than I wanted to try to keep this guy alive so I can see the bagration, because he's blocked my vision on the bagration. You know, I'm not trying to get torpedoed, but all right, there he is. Watching that back, I wasn't happy with the salvo, but just kind of watching it again, I see it was a little high. So I get 1 full pin, but even then, like, that's 6 shells that hit out of 8. And Hoshino doesn't have snipers, so it's, man, I love these guns. I am wary about torpedoes. I've made the mistake. Bagration's torpedoes are, you know, you have to respect them. They have good firing angles. I think they're 8-kilometer range. They're just better than you might be expecting. So that's one of the reasons that I'm already heading out. He was at 8 kilometers when we saw him, so he might have launched and then moved a little further out. So I definitely don't want to be caught by those for no reason. Go ahead and damage control party the 2 fires because, oh, yep, there are the torpedoes. I fully expect this salvo to sink him. Yep, there we go. Okay, he's done. Akatsuki saved. Looks like he made, did he eat the, no, I think he would have taken more damage than that if he ate the torpedo. That's just from guns. Here, I give him a little, it's just cheeky. Just give him a little torpedo love. I don't think I'm going to need those anytime soon. Here, I'm trying to get this Fudra, I believe, yeah, he's got his guns pointed at. I think that's a hipper in the cap shooting him. I'm trying to hit the guns. And I remember in the game, this salvo, yeah, like, I guess he's just moving. I thought he might be standing still. I don't know. Wasn't thrilled with that salvo, so I guess I just needed to aim it a little better. So, my bad. Can't blame RNG on that. That's just bad aim. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, Constellation. I enjoyed it even before the nuff. It got, I think, like a 2-second or so reload buff. But I really enjoy this thing. You have to, again, be careful with the armor. Like, it is squishy. It will take damage. And the other day I was having a really good game in it, and then a Musashi, like, you know, citadeled me right through the butt. And that is, yes, the Musashi overmatches stuff anyway. Oh, earned that kill, totally. Musashi overmatches stuff anyway, but especially in this ship, like, you gotta watch out for that. Even versus 16-inch guns, which, of course, there are a lot of at Tier 7. Otherwise on the ship, you know, the firing angles are quite generous front and back. Turret rotation, which I've mentioned before, is I really don't like ships that have bad turret rotation. This has pretty good. Accuracy is great. Reload with this build is like 20 seconds. It's got the 3 radars. That is one of the reasons that I'm running Hoshino. Doesn't matter that much in this match because the red destroyers are already dead. And then it does give me the 6 heals. I rarely get through all 6 heals. You know, it's the kind of ship that if you're taking that much damage, you're probably going to die anyway. But it does occasionally help, especially with something, you know, because we're not running fight fire with fire. If you take a bunch of fire damage, having those extra heals can certainly go a long way. But the reload's so long, unless you're just, you know, activating fully packed, like, it's just hard to get through all 6 heals. So that's not the star of this build. The 4 planes, and really the 3 radars, are what I'm going for. It does have Megalomaniac, which I find I like more than I thought I would on a lot of the US commanders. I kind of leveled this commander. The BA collaboration was, I don't know, 6 months ago or whenever it was. This commander didn't really particularly appeal to me, but I don't know, one day for whatever reason, I think I just got frustrated with, I can't even remember which ship, and I was like, screw it, I'm going to level this one and just try it out. I actually really like it, much more than I thought I would. I thought I would miss Sniper, but you know, the American dispersion formula I find plays better with Megalomaniac than the French dispersion formula, which, you know, normally you have Megalomaniac on the French battleships. So I really am quite enjoying this commander. I don't run it on every ship. I've tried it on several, and it's certainly not the I wouldn't say that it would replace something like AL New Jersey or even AL Colorado, or on as like your general use battleship commander. But for any ship like this one that has a pretty good consumable suite, or like the Ohio and Georgia that have kind of better than average heals, both better heals and specifically the reloads really quick. I mean, that's your biggest thing that you run into with these 6 heals, is you just can't get through the heals if they have that normal. I think it's like a 180 seconds. It's 80 second reload on the heals, and then the faster one is, I think, is all 40 seconds or something like that. It's just so much faster. You can actually get through it, and this one you're just never gonna get through. And then yes, I got it. I've had so many ships recently where I just like left on a sliver of health. In this game, I'm actually getting all the left on a sliver of health ships, so I'll take it. I earned it. I earned it in all the games I've missed kills on previously this week. So this is mine. I earned it, and it's fair. Here we've got 2 buddies holding hands. Nelson, dude. I think my JB Rage Brawl video, I got a Nelson in that one too, and it's just, you know, sometimes Nelson's angled just perfectly, and you just like mess up on the speed, and you can't get it through the nose. But boy, when you do, oh, it's fun to shoot a Nelson in the nose. Shatter, like what? I think that's the one where it's like going through and shattering on something else, but it's frustrating. Neither of these ships have torpedoes. The Nelson can overmatch me through my nose, just like I can through him, but I've got enough more health than he does. I'm much more accurate, and I'm faster. Oh, that's another thing about this ship, especially with this build. Oh, yes, Citadel. You know, what is it? You don't have drill bits. And second row, you have crisscross, and then the whatever, like adrenaline rush or whatever that skill is, where like the lower your health, the better the reload, and the turret traverse. And so this ship is actually like 34 knots. I think it's Kraken. It is quite fast. So again, it's definitely a battle cruiser. You have to be so careful to play this thing, not like a battleship. You know, battleships, I remember being a little confused about this, and even now sometimes it feels a little wonky. Like, battleships are going to take damage. Just because you have thick armor doesn't mean you're invulnerable to damage. You've got HE spam, you know, you've got faces all over the ship that can take full penetration damage. But if you have that thick armor, you will shatter shells, you will bounce shells, especially against smaller caliber guns. Like, I wish there was maybe something that would give you some visual feedback of when you actually shatter an enemy shell. That's one thing that, you know, of course you see it when you shatter something on their ship, and it's like, oh, shoot, shatter, that's a bummer. When something hits you, it doesn't always it's not obvious that it shatters, and I think that would be helpful to kind of understand this difference between the armor of a battleship versus the armor of like a battle cruiser or a cruiser. Those shatters that you just don't really have a lot of visual feedback to note. Man, that he like wrecked that Akatsuki. That was a carriers. But yeah, that's one of those things that as you get more experience with the game, you start to notice. So you can, of course, just tell you're not taking as much damage in something with thicker armor. But you don't always necessarily know that you got away with something, quote unquote, that like, oh, it hit the armor belt and shattered. Would have been a Citadel on something with less armor. So I think that would be, there's not really a great way. Like if you just got feedback every time you got hit with a shell, I think that would be more bothersome than it would be educational. But there's something to be said for at least considering. That salvo wasn't great. Sniper might have pulled that in a little bit, but it's also long range. Oh, I don't think I mentioned this about the guns. The velocity is a little bit slower. The penetration isn't great. They're like I think they are a different like model of 16-inch guns than some of the other American Tier 7, or more like the Tier 6 16-inch guns. I'm not 100% sure if they're like the exact same model. Like that is definitely beyond my expertise and kind of quote-unquote care level. Like, it's interesting, but just there's so many. I cannot remember all of those things. I wish I could, but and I kind of did at one point, when there were half this many ships in the game, but there's just so many ships now. Like, I can't remember. I can broadly remember, like, yes, these are a little slower velocity, a little less penetration, and the actual shell damage is a little lower. These are, I think, 12,400, but that even actually without gyrating drill bits, that might be similar to the other ships. But I think, like, Massachusetts, I think is above 13,000, sorry. So yeah, they do a little bit less damage, but obviously the accuracy is just, and then the reload is really fast. So I didn't mention it except when I torpedoed the Akatsuki. It does have torpedoes. In that game I mentioned about the Musashi, they actually got some good torpedo hits on that one. And then, oh my gosh, this has been happening to me so much. Just like, game. Why? Why do you do that to me? So much recently. So much. I just like invisible health on the ships, and then here, it's so close on the Hipper. But the Hipper had a good game, so I don't begrudge him that. I'm just like so mad at the game. Yeah, I like the Constellation. Be careful with it. Treat it with respect. But it's a good flexible ship, and it's super fast. And again, I just love the guns on it. They're, they don't have the penetration that some of the other ships do, but they're so accurate. It's just a fun time to take it out. And if you can aim, you're going to get some hits.